Laurie waited patiently, leaning against the rough brick of the pillbox wall and trying to look as though he belonged. He occupied his time by watching the people walking past, staring down the curious glances of the pale-faced Clapham locals as he tried once more to calculate how far his money would go until he found work. If the bus was 4p from here to Cold Harbour Lane, then how many journeys could he make until he was broke? How much would he have to pay out for rent? And how much was a loaf of bread? Not to mention the expense of clothing. He was all right for now, but once the seasons changed, he'd freeze to death unless he invested in jumpers. He was already cold. They called this summer because they knew no better. God help him when winter did come. He was shivering in the sunlight. People hurried along in their coats, umbrellas in hand, hats firmly pushed down and pinned into hairdos that had never been vexed by humidity, like his mother's each Sunday as she fixed it up for church. Laurie wore both the new jumpers she'd bought him as a leaving present, the arms of his jacket tight, unused to the bulk. He had thought of buying a scarf earlier in the day, only the shop assistant had made him feel anxious as he followed him around menswear. Just as well. Almost all his savings, £30, had been spent on his ticket to England. On the dockside, his mother had waved him off, pretending that it was a sneeze that sent tears scattering down her cheeks. As the boat was tugged away, he'd already had second thoughts, looking down into the water and knowing he was quite capable of swimming that short distance back to dry land. But then Aston had slung a loose arm around his shoulders and suggested they both go below deck and seek out some entertainment, by which Aston mainly meant gambling and drinking. If there had been more than a handful of women on board, he'd have meant them too,